biblical tour of Turkey and Greece, and I'm here with Linda from Incarnation. And Linda, why don't you tell us about the historical accuracy of the Bible? We've been at some of the churches of Revelation today, and we're here in Sardis. We just met a bunch of medical students that are touring here today too from Turkey.
Yeah, it's really neat. These churches, probably around the end of the first century, were 7 churches that had been established, probably some by Paul, some by other apostles as they came through. As more in the middle of the first century, beginning of the first century, but toward the end of the first century, they are getting a word from John, a writer, elder probably from the church of Ephesus, who, as he was in exile, received a vision from Jesus Christ, who wanted to send a letter to the 7 churches of Asia Minor, telling them a couple of things. He wanted to bless them for their faithfulness, but he also wanted to warn them that there were things that they were falling away, that they weren't maybe following the teachings that they had learned from the early apostles. Some of them were following false prophets. Some of them were kind of caving into the political and the economic pressures of the time. And so these letters were written to as kind of a wake-up call for them. And as we read them today, they're a wake-up call for us. They were written probably between 80 and 90 in the Common Era after the death of Christ. And they were written to actual people. As we walk through these cities of Revelation, we can see that they had lives that were very much like ours. And as we read the words of John to these cities, we see ourselves. We see ourselves in these churches. We see people who are very faithful, who continue to be faithful to the Word of God, but we also see people who are maybe a little more faithful to their cultural aspects than they are to what God told them to do, and they're maybe caving in a little bit to what the cultural pressures are around them. And we also see people who are so comfortable in their surroundings that they've kind of forgotten about God, kind of like what sometimes we do today when we're really comfortable. We forget to really thank God for the comfortable things, but then when times are tough, then we ask God for help. So I think we can learn a lot from visiting these cities and reading these letters who were to real people at a real time in real situations, and those also apply to us as real people in a real time in the real situations of our lives.
And we're loving learning about Paul, and we're loving learning about John, and seeing that some of these places all exist. They have different names now, but except for Sardis, but we love being here in Turkey and meeting the Turkish people.